Hello and welcome to London for our London preview show. It's championship weekend. It's so much to be excited about. Joining me from Formula E Zone, everyone's from Formula E Zone here. We got Mr. Jack Pickering and we got Aisha. So, I have to start. I'm going to start with you, Aisha. First race since Jakarta for you here. How are you finding it? And championship weekend, what's the buzz?
I know, it's been really amazing. First time being in actual London, first time traveling with the other, and actually this is my first race of the season. Honestly, I've not been anywhere else, and championship weekend, I don't know, I'm not going to say that I got favourites, but I don't know, I'm basically biased, so I'm just hoping someone's going to win. But yeah, it'll be a fun weekend.
Pico, who's going to do it? Who do you think is going to do it?
Firstly, I want to add to that and say I am so happy to be back. I've genuinely missed this so much because I haven't done one since this race last year. Obviously, I was out in Valencia, but it's not a proper race. You don't have that proper buzz. And then you go into this one, and then you've got 7 mathematical people, realistically 3 or 4, who could win the championship this weekend. And yeah, honestly, I'm just really, really excited to be back.
Yeah, let's start with the Jaguar teammates, right, of Mitch and Cassidy. Obviously, if you go back to last season, we had the incident with Buemi with Cassidy, and they were trying to play it with. We're probably not going to expect that. And James Barkley said in the team principal press conference that it's fair game, right? It's fair game for the first couple of races, first race on Saturday, and then we'll see where we are on Sunday if we need to intervene, or they could be in a position where they're allowed to fight. But they could become their worst enemies, and especially with the team championship still to play for, Pico.
Yeah, and this is where I think Porsche have it a little bit easier this weekend because they don't have that pressure on them. Because yes, Mitch is on the same point as Pascal in the championship. Da Costa, when I spoke to him earlier today, has said his real focus is just on the team's championship, what are we calling it? The manufacturers' championship.
Manufacturers' championship is the manufacturer, and the team's championship.
Yeah, and so that is the aim for Da Costa. If he can get into the drivers' championship fight, that's amazing. But that's not his priority this weekend. So with Porsche, it's a little bit easier. We'll see. I don't think we'll see too much fireworks with Jag, but who knows?
I should know Mitch Evans, right? It could, for him, he's been so close, right? It's his 5th attempt at winning a championship. He's been in the running for the last 5, including this one, right? For him, what the story of him winning it is just as huge as of Cassidy or Verline winning it.
Yeah, so I think, even though Pico said that there are just a few drivers who are in contender for a title, but I think it's just a matter of Cassidy and Evans now. I know that he shares the same points as Verlaine, but Evans, I don't know, I don't really want to jinx anything, but in the press conference he said that he's always hungry for something, and it's actually nice if this year we got to see him actually taking the title instead of being in contender for second and not getting it in the end. Obviously it will hurt because I don't know, then he'll lose it to his own teammate as well.
Yeah.
Another Kiwi as well. So
I know it's about the Kiwis. I wonder what it's like in New Zealand. But anyway, I think we should hear from.
Not to mention, this is the 5th consecutive time Mitch Evans has headed into the final event of the season as a championship contender. We headed into those 6 races in Berlin.
Yeah.
Technically, anyone could have won that championship 6 races with more races than we had in the first part of the year. But he was, I think he was either leading the championship or not far behind Da Costa. Season 7, obviously, we had everyone who could win the championship, and then the last 2 years, he's had an outside shot, but not realistically. So this is his best chance at a title yet. And who has he got to face? His own teammate.
I know. But yeah, I suppose we have to talk about Pascal Verline now because obviously he's in this championship fight too, Aisha. And for me, I don't think he's been one of the strongest drivers in the peloton-style races, but as we're not expecting a peloton-style race here in London, I think this is Pascal's chance. We saw in Diriyah that, and I know that's a fast-flowing circuit and this is quite technical, but he can perform well there. So if he can perform well there, he might be able to do a good job in qualifying here, and then that could really propel his chances of a championship fight.
I don't know, I'm quite pessimistic about it because Pascal Verlaine, obviously, he's a good driver, or else he wouldn't be finishing inside of the top 3. But in terms of consistency, it could have been so much better.
Yeah.
Because he's not the most consistent driver there is. So I don't know about him winning a title. It would have been great to see him, but then again, no. I think it's just a matter between Cassidy and Evans, or if there's many wrongs to Jaguar and many rights to like other team who are not like.
Yeah, no, I fully get you. He starts so well, Verline. Last season started brilliantly. This season started brilliantly, but then it just fades away. But his brilliant start carries him to where he is today.
The thing is, I mean, like we're saying that, it's amazing starts carried him to this point. Like, he's 12 points away from the top of the championship. And yes, sure, Nick had a dreadful weekend in Portland, but the thing is, he's still here in the championship. Yes, the last few seasons, we have seen that Pascal has this thing where he just starts really well and then just fades over the season, and he can't. And like the last 2 years, he's been a championship contender right up until like 2 races to go, where he's sort of fallen off a cliff. But yeah, I think there is a little bit of pressure as well. Antonio Felix da Costa has won the last 4 in 5 races, which is mind-blowing. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. But I don't think we can rule out Pascal just yet.
No, we can't rule him out. He's just been consistently picking up points, but he's not been picking up the big points. But he picked up the big points at the beginning, and that consistent of 5th, 6th, 4th places has been enough to get him to this point, basically. And you could argue if it wasn't for Portland for Cassidy, then he wouldn't even be in this title fight. We'll be talking about Cassidy today and how brilliant he's been all weekend. I suppose I want to talk about the reigning champion now, Jake Dennis. Like, again, a season that he would have wanted a better defence to his title, Pico. Like, it started all right, and Porsche looked good, Andretti looked good, but then it just, from Diriyah, really, that 3rd race, after they dominated the 1st race, the 2nd race, they were nowhere, and then they really, really struggled, and it wasn't really till Berlin that they got their act together, and by then, Jake Dennis wasn't really in the title contention.
Yeah, it's been a very sort of crazy year. We've had this thing in Formula E where if you win the championship, you then don't seem to have a very good second season, follow-up season. We saw that with Stoffel last year. If you go back to season 4, Lucas Di Grassi won the championship season 3, and then he had that horror show start to season 4. Admittedly, the Audi team then went on a run of it, and he ended up, I think finishing second in the championship. But even then, champions do not have great follow-up seasons, and this is just another one in the long line, really. With Jake, he's not really too focused on the championship, because he needs to win both races, and then on top of that, he will probably need some bonus points on top of that for pole and fastest lap and everything. So yeah, it's very it's extremely unlikely that he'll defend it. The thing is, this has always been a place where he just works his magic. Think about how many wins he's had here. Last year, when he wraps up the championship on day 1, not day 2, he wraps up with a day to go. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, who knows? But he doesn't think he can. Yeah,
I'm not expecting, but it kind of Aisha shows how competitive the championship is. Like, that you can go into a season trying to defend it and it doesn't go your way. But he could play a massive part in the championship, because as you said, Pico, he's quite good at London. So it might be the fact that Verline needs to pass him, and we know the battles that Verline and Dennis have had this season. So he could play, even though he might be up there, he could still play a pivotal role with the drivers around him trying to get past him in the race.
No, I mean, to be fair, when it comes to like winning the race in London, it's very possible. But for him to take home the title, I think it's just very unlikely, unless a miracle happens and everything just go wrong for other teams. Then there might be a chance where he might be winning the title. But I don't know.
Needs something catastrophically bad to happen. So let's talk Norman though, because I'll come back to you, Aisha. Obviously, 4 teams in 4 seasons, right? And one was a reserve with Jaguar. And he could be on the hunt again for another seat. And I think, he's had a solid season as a backup to Jake, and Jake potentially being the number 1 driver. Norman's been there, he's scored points. Yes, he's had his difficult moments, but so has Jake. And the Andretti cars, hasn't had the best of seasons, but when it's been performing well, like in Berlin, for example, Norman performed well. And in Shanghai too, he got the podium. I'm kind of not shocked, but just surprised that he's finding himself in a position where he's looking for another team for next season.
I think he's just very unlucky. It's just very unlucky to be in his shoes, because if I were him, honestly, it feels like, oh, no team really wants me. Like, no team thinks that I'm their favorite, which is kind of hard. But then again, he got experience on his hands.
Yep.
He got experience with 4 teams that it could be useful for other teams that are still developing their car and their experience. So I think some teams might want him next season. It won't be hard for him. Let's just manifest that for him.
Yeah, manifest something for him. Always try and manifest something.
Well, what do you think, Pico?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a tricky one. He always seems to be a little bit of a late bloomer. When he won that race for Venturi, it was the last round of the season.
Yeah.
When he got the podium for Fenestraz, it was in Rome, the penultimate round of the season. And admittedly, it is getting earlier and earlier, because this year it was Shanghai when he perked up, and he did amazing in qualifying in Portland as well. The thing is, for me, Norman is a solid driver. I think his signature will be wanted, especially somewhere down this end of the pit lane. People will definitely be lining up to sign Norman. I think he will be back next year in some shape or form.
Just 15 in 5 years, pretty crazy. So let's hear from the Andretti duo of Jake Dennis and Norman Nato.
I think we really have one goal, which is to try and finish third in the Constructors. On my side, obviously the championship is 1% of a probability. So, just me and Norman to try and work together, finish third in the Constructors, and I think we can leave here as a happy team.
Definitely, it's an important weekend for us, as we're still in a fight for top 3 at the championship. So that's obviously the main target at the moment. And as you say, honestly, so far nothing is done anywhere. I don't know yet what my future is going to be. So I'm not really trying to focus on that at the moment. It's more like the job of my manager to work on that side. And for me, double header is really demanding. So for sure, I would have preferred to be already settled for the next season, but it's not done. Nothing is done yet. So let's see. For sure, if I'm having a strong weekend, can be only better. But so far nothing I can say more at the moment. Let's see.
So I want to talk about some Formula E news, because obviously the driver market, we talked there with Norman Nato, was on the rise, and it's kind of the same with Stoffel Vandoorne and Nico Mueller at the moment, right? So let's talk Nico Mueller first, right? He's leaving Abt, who is the pit garage just in front of us. Where do you think he could be ending up next season? What did he say to you earlier?
Well, I wasn't going to push him on where he's going. I did ask him when we'd hear, and I think it probably will be quite soon after this weekend, because everything is just focusing on this weekend. It's the last round of the season, and it is his last few races with the Abt team, which he's been part of for a couple of years, and the Abt team is a very sort of family team. And so to move on from that, he said it is quite hard, but if he's seen this opportunity that might propel him forward, we believe it's probably going to be Andretti, but we will wait to see if that is confirmed. There's a lot of things happening in the rumour mill as well, because he's not the only one.
He's not the only one, because you've got Stoffel Vandoorne as well, Aisha. So Stoffel Vandoorne's leaving DS Penske, so it's his last race at DS Penske, and rumoured to go to a couple of teams, potentially Maserati and Vision are on the table. But when I spoke to Vandoorne earlier, he said it was time. He came from DS after winning the championship with Mercedes in season 8, done 2 seasons at DS, and it hasn't quite gone his way, Stoffel. He hasn't quite got to the heights of what Jev has done over the last 2 years.
I'm pretty sure you get a deal at some point, because Stoffel Vandoorne, I think he's always been an icon to Formula E, so I don't think any of the teams would want to get rid of him or get him out of the image. Unless if he did I don't know, if he did really well in London, then there will probably more offers on the table, more teams that would want him. But then again, I can't really picture stuff outside Formula E. No,
I think he's definitely got a seat lined up. And when I spoke to him, he said within 2 to 3 weeks he's hopeful that he could hopefully confirm and say what's happening. So I do think he has a seat for next season. It's just where, because there's a lot of merry-go-round at the moment. So let's go and hear from Nico Mueller and Stoffel Vandoorne.
Yeah, very strange feelings. Obviously, it's already a privilege to be in the situation that I decided myself to pursue new challenges. But it's also made that decision a very difficult one, because that team is like my second family, and yeah, very bittersweet. But I felt like I'm at the point of my career where I'm ready for a new challenge. And once the train passes by your station, you better jump on it if you feel like that it might be the right avenue to go down. So yeah, I did have that feeling, and I hope it will pay off. Let's see, but I'll definitely still, consider these guys as my second family, and you always see each other twice.
Yeah, last race. We still got 2 races to go. Tough battle for third in the championship. So obviously that's the goal, the target for this weekend to end on a high. I think it's been a difficult 2 years. I think we've shown great performances in qualifying, but we've never really, or not often, let's say, been able to conclude on that during races. That's been kind of the biggest point to work on.
So interestingly enough, right, Dan Ticktim was another driver when I spoke to him, Pico, that could be on the move. He's expecting to kind of stay at ERT, but he said maybe within 2 to 3 weeks' time he might know for sure where he'll be driving. But it's really interesting that seems to make it think like the driver market's quite live. And yes, we have an idea where people are going, but if things change, then, maybe Dan Ticktim finds himself in the Andretti, for example. Who knows?
That's an interesting team that you've picked out there, because I think, was it not here 12 months ago where Roger Griffiths, as we found out in Formula E Unplugged, said you wouldn't put him in front of a sponsor, would you? And Dan wasn't too pleased about that. Yeah. So it's very interesting team that you've chosen.
Stranger things have happened.
Dan's very much like the nearly man.
Yeah.
He's been there or thereabout. He can pull out a result from time to time. I love him, but I can't see him moving away from ERT anytime soon. I think that is the team that sort of, and they agree with me. And so I think that team needs to be centred around that. I think they've got a really strong lineup in Sergio and Dan. They're 2 brilliant drivers, and I think they just need to, if they can focus around them, try and get. But the powertrain is where they need to improve.
Yeah, and then Sacha Fenestraz is another one, right? Obviously had a great first season, struggled a little bit this season, and he says he has a contract, and if it all goes well, he'll be in that seat for Nissan. But again, there's some rumours running about with Sacha at the moment that might mean that contract might be broken and he might be paid out. Would you like to see Sacha back at Nissan next season?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Sacha, he has been with Nissan for
ages. Yeah.
I think he's always been there.
Yeah.
There was only a really short time where he was doing reserve.
A driver role, yeah.
He was with
Jaguar.
And I can't really see Sacha outside the Nissan outfit. So
yeah.
hopefully they'll get his contract extended, because it's been doing just okay.
I remember in Seoul at the end of season 8, where it was an open secret that Sacha was going to Nissan. He was there as a Jaguar reserve, but he spent literally 90% of that weekend with the Nissan crew.
Yeah.
And so it's like you said, it's be weird to see him without Nissan.
It did. So let's go and hear from Sacha Fenestraz and Dan Ticktim.
I think I came into this season with let's say the wrong mindset of trying to be the lead driver, trying to be on the podium, fight for the championship, and etc. That was my own target, and I quickly realized it's not realistic. And by the time I realized, then things became a little bit difficult, and then you start losing confidence. You don't trust yourself, and it's kind of a snowball effect, and things just get worse. So I think it's been the whole season a little bit like that, and it all comes to maybe starting the season with the wrong mindset.
Yeah, it's obviously been a tough year. I think this year my sort of whole mentality has been a bit better. I've started to sort of appreciate where I am a bit more, rather than just focus on the fact that I didn't get to F1 and all that, because that was making me quite down for a while. And I have to say I've enjoyed this year more than I have other years, even though the results haven't quite been there. But yeah, very looking forward to what the future holds for my career, whether I stay in the team, which I think is likely, but there are still other seats, so I've got to obviously keep options open and do the best for my career. So yeah, looking forward to next season, and it's good we start a bit earlier, so I haven't got a 6-month break. At least it's a bit less.
And that's about it, really, for our preview show. The only thing I have to ask you two now is basically, who do you think is going to be world champion? Aisha, start with you first. Who do you think is going to be Evans? He's finally going to do it.
He's gonna do it. I'm pretty sure he'll win it. I don't know, everything that's coming out of my mouth is bad luck. So when it was like England versus Spain, I thought like, oh, England's definitely coming home. It's not coming home. I don't know.
I didn't think it was coming home.
Comparing Cassidy to the England football team, and
honestly, I thought
it should have come home, but it's not going to come home, Cassidy.
No, but the thing
is,
Cassidy's been brilliant this year, unlike the England football team, who were absolutely diabolical, finessed their way to the final. That honestly, I was thinking was going to end up 4-0 Spain.
Yeah, well. So what?
So honestly, we did very well. Good job, lads. All the best, Gareth. My prediction is Cass.
It's just good, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's just good, isn't he?
I'm just going to go for the favourite. Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
I'm also going to go for Nick Cassidy.
Okay.
You're the only one. I would like Verline to do it for something different. I'd like Verline, but I don't think he will.
No.
I think to your point where I don't think he's consistent enough with where in qualifying and the race performances to do it. So if he does it won't be a shock, but he's pulled out of the bag. Whereas Cassidy, we know how strong Cassidy is around London, right? And if he can do it again like he did last season, no problems, then for me, I think, Nick Cassidy could be the one that could be walking out of here on Sunday as world champion. But who do you think is going to be world champion? Put it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching our preview show. We'll have plenty of more content, so make sure you hit the like button, stay subscribed, and we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.